This topic is seriously a long time coming. What's up, socials? I'm so excited about this topic today. Many of you have asked me this question in the past. It wasn't really something that fit into the editorial calendar until now. So really excited about answering this question, but it's all in thanks to a partnership that I am making with Spera.io. Spera and I are doing a series on Savvy Sexy Social over the next couple of months, all about the freedom economy. Basically, over the next couple of weeks, I'm gonna be sharing some videos about what it was like for me to go from side hustle to full-time entrepreneur. Whether or not you're interested in freelancing or you just want to learn more about how I ended up here, you might find this series useful. So let's dive into today's topic. How did I leave my full-time job? A little bit of backstory. When I was in college, I was going to school for political science. I started working for a law firm because I wanted to learn more about the environment. I wanted to work in policy and lobbying and fundraising, and that's exactly what I did. I had a great job. Like, it was legit. Awesome bosses, awesome work environment, downtown. This was the beginning of my whole living in downtown Columbus situation. It was awesome. Girl in her young 20s with a banging job. Fabulous. I was in that position for about 5 years, and during that time, I found my love for social media and started to experiment with more ways that I could be doing that in my spare time. That turned into picking up side hustle work. People were discovering my personal YouTube channel and saying, "This is so cool that you're doing this. How can you help us a little bit with our Facebook page?" So I started working with my own freelance clients on the side, and it's exactly how it sounds. I went to work from 9 to 6, sometimes even a little bit later, and then I would go home and I would work on this client work in my spare time when y'all were out at the club. Don't get me wrong, I still hang out with my friends on the weekends, but definitely not as much as I did before. I put in a lot of my own personal time into doing this, partially because I was really freaking excited about it. It was something I was passionate about. It's really hard to start a side business that you're not really amped about. Let me just say that. It's gonna be hard anyway, so if you're not excited, it's definitely not fun. But when you can't give your clients for a business your full-time attention, you really have to make up for that work somewhere. And so your evening hours, maybe even waking up early in the morning when you're on deadline or working on the weekends, are critical. The craziest thing is that I knew I was going to leave my job a year before I did. I would lose sleep over it, and it still wasn't gonna happen for a whole another year. This isn't something that's just going to happen overnight for most people. If you're at a full-time job and you're starting a side business because you would like it to become your full-time passion and work and paycheck, there's a lot of execution that goes into that. Putting in your time is an understatement. You're gonna be doing so much work on the side of everything else you have going on. You really have to consider, how much do you want to do that? Are you thinking about leaving your full-time job? What is it you want to do? You really need to start outlining all of these ideas and what you need to get done in order to get on the right track to get started. I had a couple of side clients. I worked really hard for them, and some of them were only a couple months at a time. Some of them lasted me the entire time that I was side hustle freelance. But I got to a point where I needed to make a decision. I wasn't really happy in my job anymore. I'd been working really hard on my side business. It's really difficult to get to a point where you're making more or the same amount as your paycheck in order to make that easy decision to leave your full-time job. It's not an easy decision. Do you have benefits? Do you actually have as much money as you're making? You're gonna have to manage your own taxes. All of these things are a factor. So it's not always going to be an easy conversation, and it wasn't for me. I did not have a full-time income when I decided to leave my full-time job. But I had a year of experience at this point. I had clients that could vouch for me and provide testimonials. I had incoming inquiries for work. And when it came time that I thought this is the best date and time and circumstance to leave my full-time job, that's when I put in my 2 weeks notice. It was a really tough decision, but I had to do it. And I'm very fortunate, and I hope that you are just as fortunate, but you have to do so much work in order to prepare for this. When I left my full-time job, I let my network know. I let everyone know, people in my old job and people in my new career know, hey, I'm full-time now, baby. And I had work coming in, and I got that full-time wage very quickly. I planned and I executed as much as possible. I did as much work as I could. I gained experience as much as I could. I went to conferences and I got educated about it. I was literally using vacation time and extra money in my full-time job to go to conferences about my side hustle so I could learn more and get educated and meet people. So important. That conference, that one conference I went to in a year's time during the side hustle, I met so many people that ended up helping me get to a point where I could leave my full-time job. I know what you're thinking. You're probably thinking I was crazy. And I have to honestly sit here and say, like, you know what? I think I was a little bit crazy, but man, did it pan out. Plan B never became a factor. Not yet. So that's my story about how I left my full-time job. I know a lot of you have asked that in the past. I'm so glad we got to finally talk about it. And big thanks to Spera for sponsoring this first episode of the Freedom Economy segment that we'll be doing here for the next couple of months. Make sure you go to spera.io and learn how they can improve your freelance work style if that is up your alley. I really recommend their Freedom Economy report too. You learn quite a lot about how this whole world is changing. We're taking control of our lives and deciding that we can do the work that we find the most fulfilling. It's so exciting. If you're curious about a really big detail of how I left my full-time job, and that is gaining experience in a field that I didn't go to school for and did not have any experience in whatsoever in order to grow a business and be able to leave that full-time job, you're going to really enjoy the second episode. That is all about how to gain experience when you have nothing to go off of. So if you're excited about that episode, please click the thumbs up. I wanna know if you're excited about the Freedom Economy series that we're doing here. That's all for today's socials. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate it as always. Subscribe for good vibes, and until next time, cheers.